And here we go. Look at that. He's about to be 24 hours old. That's right, it's a baby boy. I've been waiting for this little one for so long. Now he's here. Look at those eyes. Damn. It's crazy watching that video right there. That is like the exact moment where I became a man. Holding my son, my firstborn, for the first time. That's just like another level of existence that I didn't even know I could experience until that very moment right there. Now look, I know we all as men grow up with this idea of what manhood should look like, and it evolves as we grow. Like, when we're kids, we look at grown-ups, we look at our parents. If the father's present, we look at our dad. We look at the men around us, and it's like, yo, even on TV, like, that's what a man should be. Then as boys, we find our superheroes, we find our idols, like people that we want to be like. As young men, if you're blessed to have a mentor, or if you are just around older men, you start to pick up some of the mannerisms, and you start to develop your own personality as a man. As a young man, you grow into a man. And the thing about becoming a parent that's so crazy is, like, you don't know what you will become until it happens. Now, I want to make something very clear here. When I say becoming a father, I'm talking about becoming a father, stepping into the role of the patriarch. I'm not talking about just making a kid. Being a father is a set of behaviors. It's a set of responsibilities. Making a kid is just, you didn't pull out in time. There's a difference, right? And so I want to make that very clear, because that's a missing piece that you don't know is missing until you get there. The person you become, the person I became, that you're looking at right now is not the same dude that is in that video that you just saw. I thought that being a man was about how much money you made, and I made money, and it wasn't all the way there. Then I thought it was about your career, right? Like finding a career, being stable, and it wasn't even that, And as I started to evolve, I started to realize that there's characteristics as a man that you take on. And I talked about this in a couple of videos before about becoming a husband and getting married and being a protector and a provider. So the thing is, as a man, when you understand that your role is to be a protector and a provider, you have ascended. Because let me tell you, a lot of the males in this world don't get that. That doesn't click for them. Okay? So you don't have to be married or even in a relationship to assume the role of protector and provider, right? Like, being a protector is just the energy that you hold, that people feel safe around you. Being a provider is knowing that people knowing that they can come to you and have their needs met. You know what I mean? And it puts you like that, whether it's a family member, whether it's the community, whether it's the village, right? Like, you fulfill that role to the people around you. That, to me, is like level one of becoming a man. Then we talk about becoming a husband and taking that energy and creating a household, with your wife. And I thought that was the ceiling, because when my wife and I first started dating, neither one of us even wanted kids. Now, I will say, even though y'all know how I feel about religion, I don't do none of that shit. We followed, I guess, the correct progression, right? We dated. We did have, sex outside of wedlock, but, that's what we did. But then we got married, and then we had kids. And it wasn't until our relationship started to flourish where, even the idea of having a kid came too. And I got to tell you, I was blessed because, number one, I grew up with my dad around. And for better or worse, he showed me what to and not to do as you become a man. Not with his words. He never sat me down and said, this is what a man does. I just watched. I watched and I picked up on certain things and I said, okay, that's what a man does. That's what a man shouldn't be doing, you know? And he's not the perfect man by any means, but I did learn from him. And coming up, I messed up. I messed up a lot. You know, as I was saying, you know, I thought getting money made you a man. And I did anything and everything to get money. And what did it cost me? My freedom. You can't be a man when you ain't free. And there's so many ways that you can fall into bondage, right? But I was actually state property. Got through with that situation. Okay, what does it mean to be a man? You get an education, went to college. All right, you get a career, became a fitness coach, and built this business. All right, but it's just levels. You start building it. When I got married, I still didn't understand that it's not about you. And that's something that I think people need to get. But as a man, when you understand that it's not about you, it is about everybody else and the impact that you can make in their lives, being the protector and the provider, right? So when you're that for your community, when you're that for your social group, when you're that for your professional group, and then when you become that within your marriage, right? It's just you keep leveling up and you assume that responsibility. But what's crazy is when you become a parent, when you have a child and you assume the role of father, that protector and provider role, it is so different because you understand it's not about you. It can't be about you anymore because you've got these innocent lives, these people that you brought into this world that can't fend for themselves. And this is why a lot of men bounce, because they don't understand how heavy of a responsibility that is until they step into it and you have a crying baby in your hands and you don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? And you watch this child evolve and they become a mirror, but not just a mirror of what you tell them and what you teach them, but they mirror back your behavior and they expose you to you. And you start to see it like, whoa, like I am responsible for this person's life. Now, obviously, as they get older, and I can attest to this, you make your own decisions. They make their own decisions, right? But there's a level of accountability that you assume as a father. And I assume as a mother, too. I can't speak for motherhood. I only speak for fatherhood right here. But you assume, when you assume the role, you assume this accountability that this child's behavior is out of line. How was that my responsibility? What did I do to create that or allow that? And then what can I do to change that? You know, it's becoming a parent, just it's that next level and the final boss of manhood. Now, I'm not saying this to encourage any of you to go out there and just start making kids, but I want you to understand that that is a commitment and some next level shit that you won't even understand until you're holding your child in your hands, right? And so I was, like I said, I called my shot. So I had my son first, and I got to witness my son grow, and I'm still watching him grow, and I'm watching his behaviors, and I'm watching him change, and I'm very present. So I understand that I can't do certain things. I can't act a particular way. I have to exercise patience and communication. These are things that, while interpersonal relationships, professional relationships, platonic relationships, social circles, professional circles, communication is key. But communication is different when you're speaking to a child. When you're trying to convey a point that their evolving brain just cannot grasp right now, and you have to be patient. That is a new level. I gotta tell you, the person that you're looking at right now, my kids have humbled me. The circumstances that surrounded becoming a father both times. I've got 2 kids. At the time of recording this, I got a 4.5-year-old and about to be 6-month old. They're exactly 4 years apart. My daughter was born the day after my son's birthday, and my son was born the day after my birthday. So we got 3 in a row, right? But the point is that the person that you become when you step into the role of father, the person that you're looking at right now, the person that I became, I had to bring it down. I had to change the energy. I have to be softer, especially that I have a daughter. You know what I mean? And that I'm dealing with kids. I'm dealing with these children that they don't know that daddy's having a bad day. They don't know that daddy's going through X, Y, and Z. And to be honest, they don't care. And so I can't come into the house angry. I can't communicate through yelling. I have to change my demeanor. I have to change how I show up. And it's changed me as a person. It's evolved me as a man. Now, there's a lot of you out there that stepped into the role of fatherhood because you had no choice. And you did it at an early age. And so you know what I'm saying right now. And maybe it didn't work out with your child's mother. It happens, right? But I think we can all agree that the person you became stepping into the role of father is an evolution of the person you were. You had to shed some of these destructive habits. You had to become somebody else. And I say that to say that you cannot fully step into manhood without assuming the role of father. That is another set of responsibilities. It's another way of being that you can't prepare for. You can't train for. It's like you get thrown in the trenches and you have to figure it out. And that right there to me is just that next level of ascension, man. I don't want anybody out there who doesn't have kids to think that you're not a man. But I do want you to understand that having kids, being a father, is just some different shit. It's just some different shit. It does not make me better than you. And it does not make you less than a man for not having kids. But you'll never experience the top level of manhood until you bring life into this world and take on and assume the role of father and everything that entails. When my son was born, it was during the pandemic. And let me tell you something, like I said, my head wasn't right. And during my wife's first pregnancy, I fucked up a lot. I mean, we had the pandemic going. My income was messing up, man. I got the car repossessed. I had to learn a lot about the responsibility. And again, it dawned on me like, okay, I'm not just grinding and hustling so we can take vacations and so we can have nice clothes and nice cars and shit. That's not what it is anymore. It's to provide the best life possible for this young, innocent human being. And it's like, damn, what a shift that happened in my head that brought me to that. So as I stand right here in front of you, like every day, I wake up and I know it's not about me anymore. I know it's not about, what do I want? What makes me feel good? Nah, man, it's about providing and protecting for everybody that has my last name. My legacy, creating a situation that will output amazing human beings. And I must say, I sometimes I feel like I'm not doing that great of a job. But then I look at my son and I see the smile on his face. And I look at my daughter who's only 6 months old, but she's just beautiful and healthy and active. And I said, man, I must be doing something right, And that's another evolution of becoming a man. Like it's not that I don't have the ability to slink into depression or to be in my feelings. It's, you know, this shit happens. But I handle it differently because it's not about me anymore. So I want to know, where are the fathers at? Where are the men at that stepped into the role of father, whether it's your biological children or whether you assume that role for children that needed that? You understand that you had to become somebody different, and that different somebody you became is the highest evolution of man. Sound off, man. Let me know if I'm resonating. Let me know if you agree, if you disagree, where you feeling like that. Always make sure that you hit that subscribe button. We love to have these conversations. I love to interweave conversations like this into the channel so that, you know, it's not all about fitness. It's not all about, like, that's just one element of it. But we're trying to create amazing human beings. We're trying to create an amazing human experience. And in order to do so, we have to be able to talk about these things. So let me know in the comments where you stand. Make sure you like and comment on this video. Hit that subscribe button as I mentioned. And as always, you gotta make sure you keep your eyes on your vision and your mind on the grind. Let's go.